All right, this lesson takes off where we left off yesterday, and we're going to continue to translate problems into algebraic expressions. The problems today, though, will be a little more real-world-like, not so much, a number less than 7, but more like some real-world situations that you have to be able to translate into algebraic expressions. So let's take a look at the do now answers real quickly, and then we will begin to practice. Here are the answers to the do now, and I think maybe the only tricky one was number 4 with the division one. So, we're starting with C cupcakes and dividing it 10 ways is the way I would think about number 4. So whenever you see the words shared equally, that often is a translation to division. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page, please. All right, I want to do a few examples with you. These are some basic examples that we're going to start off with. And let's take a look at this first problem. Ralph has 10 more pens than Curtis has. Write an algebraic expression that represents how many pens Ralph has relative to Curtis. Now, this phrase here, relative to Curtis, is important because that represents our starting point. It also represents our variable. So Ralph has 10 more pens than Curtis, and of course that word more translates into positive. So we have Curtis, whose number of pens we don't know, so we're going to call that C, and we know that Ralph has 10 more than Curtis. All right, let's take a look at example 2. Switch things around a little bit. Curtis has half as many pens as Ralph. Write an algebraic expression that represents how many pens Curtis has relative to Ralph. Okay, same deal. Relative to Ralph means that's our variable, that's our starting point. We have half as many, so that tells us could be multiplication or division. I'm going to go with, at least for this moment, multiplication. So if Ralph is our variable, the number of pens Ralph has, Curtis has half as many as Ralph. This could also be a division problem as well, where we want to divide the number of pens Ralph has by 2. So you could think of it that way as well. All right, number 3. Brandon has a certain number of coins, C. We already have the variable. Kim has fewer coins than Brandon. Write an expression that represents how many coins Kim has. All right, so our starting point is C. Our starting point is Brandon. And we have the keyword fewer, which we know translates to subtraction. So our starting point is the number of coins that Brandon has. And we know that Kim has 7 fewer than Brandon. And that's a translation for example 3. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page, please. So here's some additional practice problems I'd like you to work on, but let me say a couple of words about them. I have an extra column here that I want you to look at. I want you to write the word or phrase that tells you which operation to use. So, for example, Kiara decided to share them all equally between herself and 9 friends. So, in this case, the key word here is share them all equally, really, the whole thing. That's what you would write here, because that tells you to use division. So I'm going to write share equally. That's the kind of words that I'd like you to write in this column. Now, I also want to take a look at E. E, you're working backwards. They're giving you an algebraic expression, and they want you to write a word problem that goes with that. So that could be almost anything. So think about a story that you would want to write that might go with 15 plus m. All right, so pause the video, work on these, and then come back and check your answers. All right, take a look at these answers and see how you did, and if you got something different, see if you can figure out where you might have gone wrong. I made up a story down here about Juan having $15, and then Katie lent him some unknown amount, which is the M. And notice my dollar sign isn't so nice here, but that's what this is supposed to be here. Dollar sign. So go ahead and turn to the next page, please. All right, here's some more practice problems. I'd like you to pause the video, work on these, and then come back and check your answers. All right, these are a little tricky, so make sure you understand why these answers are what they are. This first question is, how many marbles Rowan has in relation to Shaney? So Shaney is our starting point, and Shaney has 12 more marbles than Rowan, which means Rowan has 12 fewer than Shaney. Think about that. If Shaney has 12 more than Rowan, Rowan has 12 less than Shaney. So that's why I have to use subtraction here. So the variable represents the number of marbles Shaney has, and this is the difference between the two. Now this one is how many marbles Shaney has in relation to Rowan, and that's a direct translation from the statement. Shaney has 12 more than Rowan, so that's why it's addition here. The variable represents the number of marbles Rowan has, and the constant is how many more marbles that Shaney has above Rowan. So what it's in relation to is a really important piece of this that you have to be really careful when you translate. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page, please. All right, here's a little bit of matching. I'd like you to pause the video and match the statements with the expression in the box, and then come back and check your answers. All right, go ahead and check these answers, and if you got any of them wrong, see if you can figure out what you got wrong, and you can check with me if you're not sure. All right, go ahead to the next page, please. All right, go ahead and write these expressions. These should be pretty simple, and pause the video for a moment, and then come back and check your answers. All right, those are pretty basic, so check those answers and make sure you got them right. And if you finish all of these, you can go ahead and start the homework, and there will be an extra card coming up as well. All right, let me know if you have any questions.